Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. I know many of us are ready to break away from 2021, for sure. Break up with it, start over, a fresh start, a new year. How about we make 2022 our best year yet? You with me? All right. So affirm with me, 2022 is our best year yet. 2022 is our best year yet. We need to do that again for sure. Let's do it again. 2022 is our best year yet. I really felt it that time. Yes. Yes, and I hope that it's full of some wonderful, amazing surprises for you, a prosperous new year for you. My new year is starting off with a big surprise. I didn't know I'd be speaking this Sunday until a couple of days ago. And I was out on a trip with my family up near Waco. We were staying in a cabin, and I got a text from Michael. And he asked me if I would step in, and I was like, I didn't know I'd be starting the new year this way. And I'm really, really grateful that I got to spend the first day of the new year yesterday just really steeped in unity principles and studying prosperity teachings. It was really a blessing for me. And we love you, Michael, if you're watching, and we know that your love and energy is with us, and that he'll be back with us next Sunday. Well, with the Omicron wave, it's a time for understudies anyway, isn't it? Have any of you been noticing what's been going on Broadway? That they've been using understudies and swings and just calling in all kinds of people to come in just to try to keep the show going. That's the industry that my husband and I came from, and so we like to check in and see what's going on. And The Music Man, starring Hugh Jackman, that the other star was out, Sutton Foster, and the understudy, she had been sitting on the side just watching rehearsals, never had a rehearsal. She got called in that day to go on that night. She had a rehearsal in the afternoon, and let me check her name, is Kathy Voitko. And she went on that night with Hugh Jackman. Can you imagine just having this quick rehearsal and getting to do this, to live her dream? Another interesting story was in the show Wicked, which is a big Broadway show running many years, that all their understudies for Glinda were out, swings, everything, and they ended up calling this actress, and her name is Allie Trim. She had been the understudy for Glinda on the tour, the national tour, for 2 years, never went on. For 2 years she understudied this role, and they called her to play the role on Broadway. For the first time she played it on Broadway, like it brings tears to my eyes, that this dream came true for her. And the set was totally different than the tour set, and she had to learn that. And all this stuff's on social media, so that's how we found out about it. But just that, you just never know when you're gonna get the opportunity to step into your dream. And I hope that they had fun, don't you? I hope they enjoyed it, and it wasn't just stressful, right? That's what I hope for myself. Like, I hope that this is just going to be fun for me, and I can let go of some of the fear and concern, because that's that stuff that gets in the way. Because you're being called to play a leading role in your life this year. Do you feel that? That if you've been on the sidelines, you've been an understudy to your dream, that Spirit's calling it forward now, for you to step into that dream, to step into a life that you would love living. Yes, even in a pandemic, with all the stuff that's going on. And there is a lot of pain and a lot of, rage that people have now, which is like so difficult to see. On my way home on Christmas Eve, from Christmas Eve services, I was out on Richmond, turning on to Fountain View, waiting for the light to change, and there was a car in the lane next to me. The car was at the light. I saw the woman look back, hit on the gas, and purposely hit the car behind me, and then drive off. I've never seen anything like that before. I don't know what happened between those people. I blessed them. I was grateful she didn't hit my car. I was like, that is a person who, I don't think she came from Unity that night, but that, I hold her in prayer, but that's that feeling that I think is out there of people are feeling. I talked to Reverend Sheila about it afterwards. She said, yeah, there's just a lot of pain, a lot of rage right now. And what is the way out of it? What's the way on the other side of that? And that's to focus on our vision and our dreams and to get back into our awareness of God as our source. We've been living in this sense consciousness reality where we get caught up in the pandemic and this crisis mentality, what's going to happen next, and allowing it to determine our lives in a lot of ways, that we forgot that we get to consciously create, that God is a creator who created creators, right? Not victims, but creators, that we have that creative faculty within us. When we get caught up in fear, fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear, false evidence appearing real. It's part of our being human, our human experience. It's that getting into that survival mode, that when we feel fear, we have that experience of fight, flight, or freeze. And it can stop us from living our dream. Why do we let it stop us, right? You think about those understudies, and they could have said, oh, that's too scary to step up into that role and to do that part, and I might mess up, I might forget my choreography or whatever. And they had all these people in the show who were helping them, right? And probably like guiding them along if they got in the wrong place. To trust that guidance is available to us, that there are people here to help us, that we're not going out on our own ever. We tried to get away from people on our vacation. We couldn't. There were still people that were driving by. We thought we were going out into the country. There are always people around, right? Which is a beautiful thing because you have a network of support of people you know, you don't know, and it's calling on that and recognizing that there is support in living your dream. So when that fear shows up, can we welcome the fear? Can we just welcome the fear as part of it? It's like when I got the call to do this or the text and whatever fears came up about that I'm starting this series and stepping into where Michael would be and all those things. And it's like, well, but it's also my dream to do this work, to be a Unity minister and to speak. And it's like, that's just part of it. And can I welcome that and recognize my dream is on the other side of that? Because that's what I invite you into, that whatever that is that's coming up that's saying, you can't do that, or that would be too hard, or you might embarrass yourself, you're not going to be perfect, that on the other side of that is the life that you would love living. So it's just being with that and recognizing, that's part of being human. That will show up because you are leading an extraordinary life. Right? This is what Panache Desai had to say about this. Fear is going to arise in your existence when you are up to living an extraordinary life. In fact, people who are committed to living an extraordinary existence will feel fear more than people who aren't. So it's like, it's a sign. I'm up to living an extraordinary life. I'm feeling more fear because I'm at the edge of my comfort zone and moving into something greater. And that's great. It's our divine nature to live fearlessly and to embrace that and to step into a life where we are experiencing freedom. So 2022, the year that you are going to step into your leading role, are you allowing yourself to dream again, to vision? Jesus said in John 10:10, I came that you may have life and have it more abundantly, right? To not struggle. We're created to live a life of meaning and of purpose and fulfillment, of value, of help to others, right? Noticing if you've lost sight of that, if you feel like life is happening to you, that you can change that. You can change that we have the power to change that. There's a character that I think of when I think about that feeling of life happening to me and being a victim and not seeing the good no matter what's going on. You know when Winnie the Pooh, the donkey, Eeyore, he's always so sad, and he always has his head down, and he's so cute, right? He's so lovable. You love him anyway. Why? Because we've been Eeyore before, right? Feel sorry for me, nothing's working in my life. Those are some of the things that Eeyore has said. Don't worry about me, go and enjoy yourself. I'll stay here and be miserable. I was so upset, I forgot to be happy. My eyes are open, but my mind is asleep. My eyes are open, but my mind is asleep. Did you let your mind go to sleep in the pandemic, to your dream, to who you really are, to the love of spirit that's all around you? We just went to sleep, right? And on this brisk day, if you're here in Houston, wherever you are, perhaps it's brisk. I always think of cool weather as bringing clarity. Like, it reminds me of going to school and studying, and that it can wake up our mind, wake up again to who we are, to remembering these truth teachings once again. We know that life is not happening to us, it's happening through us, right? There's a spiritual law, and the law is called divine order. And the way that the law operates is mind, idea, expression. We also say mind, idea, manifestation, that mind. Divine mind, the mind of God, which is the source of all ideas, right? Everything begins with an idea drawn from source, right? That comes into our consciousness, and then we use that idea to create. That is the way that creation unfolds every time. It does not happen from the outside in. We are living in a false reality when we think that life is happening to us. It is happening through us, right? The beautiful thing about divine order, too, is that our thoughts are creating our life, but not all of our thoughts, right? Not everything that comes through our mind, because sometimes some crazy stuff comes in there, right? So it's not just any thought that you think. It's the thoughts that we give our energy to, that become a belief, that the thoughts that then come into form as a belief. That's what we want to check into today. Really checking into what beliefs you're holding. What beliefs are you holding? We're going to be doing the Prosperity Plus class, and this class is created by Mary Morrissey, a wonderful abundance teacher. She's been teaching these principles for many, many years, and this program has been highly effective in our ministry. I've seen people step into an amazing new home, new relationships. I'm looking at you, Kat. We'll hear more from Kat soon about how she was blessed in prosperity class. And people who have started a new business, all kinds of amazing things that have come through using these principles. And this is what Mary says. She says, everything is created twice, first in mind and then in the external world. Everything is created twice. So if you want to know what you think about your body, look at your health. Look at how your body's expressing. That's the belief that you hold about your body. If you want to know what you think about your money, look at your finances and look at your bank account, and that's where your beliefs are. You can see in how your life is. The good news is that that can be changed, right? We have the power to change that. In Isaiah 65:24 says, before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. While they are still speaking, I will hear. So just even knowing and speaking those words of affirmation, of vision, of your dream, that they are already being answered and coming into form. In Prosperity Plus, we focus on 5 key areas of our lives for transformation, and that is our health, our vocation, the work that we are called to do, our relationships, and time and money freedom. So having a balance in all those areas is what we want to manifest. I know we say in prosperity, we can often think it's just about money. It is about money and all other areas of our lives. These principles apply to all areas of your life, and that's what we're going to be looking at in this prosperity series that we have. So I want to invite you into this consciousness of what is there in the creative process in Genesis. The book of Genesis shows a key, it's an allegory for us and how we can create our lives. That the author of Genesis wrote this. The author said that God said, "Let there be light. Let there be light," and there was light. So what can we see from that? That there was first that power of let there be. So are you willing to say, let there be abundance in my life? Let there be health in my life. Let there be loving relationships, good friends to connect with. Let there be peace. Whatever that is, let there be. That is how it starts, with the allowing, with the letting, and that then it comes into form. That is what that scripture is telling us, and that is the good news. So when we want to make this shift from pain, from struggle, into truth, into knowing who we are, remembering who we are, I believe that the first step is to cultivate gratitude. To cultivate gratitude, because we have so much, and sometimes we can be looking at a very small piece of our lives and get kind of caught in there, like, well, I don't have this, or I'm missing this, or that's not what I want it to be. And to open up to really see what it is that you do have. And I recognized something, because I was doing this practice yesterday, I was preparing for this talk, and like something amazing that happened in the last year that I was like, why didn't I recognize like how amazing that was? And it was that during the pandemic, like when it first started last year, I joined a team for creating a new program for Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute on spiritual direction. And we had been, it wasn't my idea, but I was on the team to help create it and write the curriculum, and we were manifesting it, but we didn't know if it was really going to happen, and there were so many different things and changes at Unity Worldwide Ministries, and we had been putting all our love and energy into it, and it got to a point last year where we really had completed the work that we needed to do to complete the program, and we just had to turn it over and let it be and trust that the program would happen. And we're so grateful that this fall, Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute launched the first ever Unity Spiritual Direction program. And I've gotten to be a mentor to 4 of the students. I've gotten to meet with them, amazing people. And what's been a blessing to me in mentoring them is seeing how much they're getting out of it and how much they love the program. And here I was thinking, well, I'm thinking of my life here, and I'm forgetting to have gratitude for all the ways that the work that I've done has touched lives beyond myself. And there are so many ways that we're each touching lives beyond ourselves, and we want to include that in our gratitude and be open to remembering what it is that we're really doing on this planet through our work. And it doesn't have to be in the church, but whatever work that you do, right? This is working with the spiritual law when we cultivate this gratitude, because there is a law of increase. Have you ever heard of the law of increase? That what you focus on, what you praise, what you bless, what you're grateful for, it increases in your consciousness and your awareness, and it increases in your life. So we want to have greater prosperity. That's the time to recognize this law of increase, to use our talents in whatever way we're called to use them, and to allow those talents to multiply into the world, right? So the first step, cultivate gratitude. The second step, claim the truth of your higher nature in prayer. To go into prayer and to claim the truth of whatever it is that you are envisioning and imagining for your life. If it's greater health, to know that I'm healthy, whole, and well, to know that from your higher nature, not from the Eeyore consciousness that's like, oh, but I have this pain, and oh, this isn't working out, and I've never done that before, all that, whatever the Eeyore has to say, right? We can be Tigger instead of Eeyore. Tigger was pretty cool, right? He just was, I call him unflappable. He just bounced around, and he never let anything bother him. He was so joyful, right? We can tap into that, because that's part of us too, right? That Tigger. So claiming the truth, going to our higher nature in prayer, and remembering the abundance that we are, the talents that we have, the spark of light that we are, whatever it is that we are here to bring, tapping into that, remembering that truth, right? Thinking it and feeling it. So it's not just thinking it, it's the feeling, getting into the feeling of it. What would it feel like to have a more abundant life? Mary Morrissey invites us into that in the program, getting into the feeling of it. When we were on our trip, we stayed outside Waco. We went into Waco for a day and experienced what was there. Anybody know what like the big thing in Waco is right now? The Magnolia Market, right? So years ago, I used to watch the show Fixer Upper, with Chip and Joanna Gaines, and they fixed up, renovated these old houses. They'd take people and they'd say, you want this house? And they'd be like, no, it's terrible. They're like, wait, look what we can do. And they'd show a vision, right? They'd draft out a vision, and you'd see this, and this is what it could be. Okay, well, we trust you, right? And then they would buy the house and they would renovate it. And I always had to stay on for the end of the show, because at the end, you got to see their faces when they opened it up and they saw the house, and these people's dreams came true, right? They're like, that's amazing, and even better than I ever dreamed. That's the feeling we're talking about. That think and feel your vision, your dream for your life, that's that feeling. To tap into that feeling of, wow, this is my dream. And I get to have it now, right? To feel into that. That's what I loved about that show. And when we went to Waco, we went to Magnolia Market and the silos, I felt like I was stepping into Chip and Joanna's dream. Like, this was the show everywhere, and you just felt their love and their desire to care for their community. That's one thing that I've really loved about their story, is that I found out that they were renovating homes in Waco for over a decade, and they had no intention to start a TV show. That they wanted to help their community and to beautify it and give people lives that they love. And that somebody posted on a blog their home that had been renovated, and someone from HGTV saw it, and they created a sizzle reel, which is like a 5-minute reel of what they do in renovating homes, and HGTV picked it up, and their lives changed. But that was never that wasn't their original intention to do a show. I just figured they started renovating to try to get a show going, right? And no, that they'd been doing that for over a decade, and that there was something more than just renovating happening there, that you could see that they really did care about the community and creating a greater place for people to live. So that's what I felt when I went there, and that's that feeling I'm talking about, that we want to feel into as we're creating a prosperous life. But it's not enough just to think it and feel it. That's kind of where people got stuck with the secret. They thought it, they felt it, and then what is the next thing is to take action, to follow that guidance, because there is a next step. Once you feel into it, there's something for you to do. There really, really is. Even if you don't know it just yet, to be open, to wait, and allow that guidance to come forward, and it will. And there will be something. Maybe it's just putting in an application for that job, or maybe it's making that phone call to that friend who might have a connection that will connect you to something that is yours to do, or the next person for you to meet. Whatever it is, there is something Always. Spirit is not going to leave you hanging. There is always something next to follow that. By nature, we are thinkers, feelers, and doers. So we want to recognize that if we attempt to only think about something and then do it, that we're missing part of the spiritual law. That we'll get unsatisfactory results if we don't do the feeling part. That it's important to do the thinking, the feeling into the vision, and then taking action. I want to share with you a Unity story about claiming the truth, following it, living it. I had shared a story in a previous talk about how when Unity wanted to purchase a building, they started a building fund, and one of the board members gave them a penny, and they started the fund with a penny. Charles Fillmore blessed it, he accepted it, put it in the bank, and they started the fund. That was in 1902. So in 1905, they had $601 in the bank in that fund. They really didn't, even in 1905 money, they didn't have anywhere near enough money to buy a new building. They had been renting a building, and they were bursting out of the seams of that building. They had lots of people coming, and they needed a bigger building. They wanted to build a 3-story building, and so they've been praying on it. And the Fillmores, the way that the Fillmores' consciousness was, is that they believed that prosperity would come to them by the right of consciousness. They recognized that they needed to shift their consciousness, and that once their consciousness was at the place where they could receive that good, that it was going to come forward. So they kept praying and praying, and they never lost faith, and they had a building committee, and so they took whatever action they could. The building committee went and they found a lot, and it had an 8-room house on it and a big enough space on the lot to build the building they wanted to build, the 3-story house. And this is in Kansas City, where Unity was located at that time. So they've been praying, they found this place, and when the board met, several of the board members offered to give $100. They pledged $100 each towards this building fund. And I looked up what $100 was in 1905 money, and it equates to $3,158.50. So even if you had 3 or 4 of those, you really didn't have enough to build a 3-story building, buy a lot of land that had a house on it. So it was great that that came through, but it wasn't enough. It was far from enough. And so the Fillmores continued to pray and pray. The money didn't appear. And then one day at a meeting, one of the men on the board, he was a quiet member of the board, and he just stood up and he said that he was willing to mortgage everything he had, his business and his home, in order for Unity to buy this property and build this building. And his associates, his business associates, were like, "This is a terrible risk. Don't do this. Why are you investing in a church? This is a bad idea." And he wasn't a rich man. He had a wife. He had 4 children. And so yeah, it was a risk. But what he knew beyond appearances in his heart was that his life was changed by Unity teachings. That the faith of the Fillmores had become his faith. And so it had called him up higher in his life, and he believed in Unity teachings. He wanted it to be shared with as many people as possible. And so he didn't get dissuaded by his business associates, and he went ahead and he did it. And Unity was able to have the money that they needed to purchase the property. Is called, the location of it was 913 Tracy Avenue in Kansas City. And they moved forward with their building plans. And how the story goes, this is from the story of Unity, which tells the history of the Fillmores and the Unity movement, is that this man, this businessman on the board, did not lose 1 cent. That when he gave that amazing gift to Unity, that he very soon took on a new business that was even more successful than the one that he had before, much more successful, and all that money flooded in and returned into his life and his family. So, looking at this story and the law of increase, that there are two laws actually of increase. There's the first one, right? That as we bless and we praise what we have, it multiplies. There's the secondary law, that as we hold the consciousness of prosperity and we live it, that it blesses the other people in our lives. That's the law. That we think we have a personal consciousness, right? That's just our own and not connected to others. And in fact, we're all connected, right? There's a collective consciousness that unites us all. And so when one person shifts to a higher consciousness, that it catches on to others and it blesses them and they increase and prosper. And that's what happened to this man. We want to recognize that we're all connected. In the story of unity, it has this as the scriptural understanding of what happened in this experience that the Fillmores had from Luke 6:38. Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. The measure that you use. I always like that, pressed down, shaken together, running over. It just had this image for me of just all this good stuff happening all over the place. When you give, that comes back to you, multiplied in so many ways. That is prosperity principle. We know that Jesus walked in prosperity, didn't he? He said that he had a seamless garment. It was a very expensive garment, and that he was able to have whatever he needed in the time he needed it, but he didn't own a lot of property. He didn't have a lot of possessions. He always had what he needed in the time that he needed it. We see this in the story of the loaves and fishes, where the young boy gives him the 2 fish and the 5 loaves, and he feeds 5,000 people. It multiplies in that story, that the abundance that was needed to feed the people who came to hear him speak was made possible. And that's that consciousness. That's what we're talking about. When we're talking about prosperity, that it begins with the consciousness, and then the form comes as a natural result of it. Eric Butterworth, Unity minister and author, said this: the goal should not be to make money or acquire things, but to achieve the consciousness through which the substance will flow when and as you need it. When and as you need it. Myrtle Fillmore and Charles Fillmore made a covenant with God when they started Unity, and one of the things that Myrtle understood in her contract with God, the contract that they had, was that all of their needs would be met, and one interesting thing that it said was without the burden of excess. I thought that was interesting, that they would have everything that they needed without a burden of excess. But really, this is the point, to live prosperously and have what you need in the moment. So this is what Myrtle Fillmore said: true prosperity is not making money or putting out goods or developing property. It is determining what our souls require in order to cause them to unfold more of God. To unfold more of God. And then how to harmonize their expression with the needs of our fellow human beings so that all are benefited and inspired to unfold and express more of their spiritual resources. So we're connected and we're doing this for the benefit of each other. And she says money success comes as a result. But there are other results that should be sought and rejoiced over even more than financial returns. Even more. So what is that we want to rejoice over? That's even more than the outer, and it's that consciousness. So let us turn to God in prayer now. Letting go and opening. Yes, opening to the good of 2022, of this moment, of the vision of the dream, the purpose that you have in your heart. That as it is spoken, that God is already hearing it and knowing it, working in harmony with you and your consciousness. It's only oneness. And allowing that good to come forward and leaning into the love of God and support the abundance of the universe. Grateful, so grateful in the awareness of holding a consciousness of health, vibrant health, healing in all aspects of our body, to do what it is that you long to do with your body, what experience and dance and activities, whatever it is. Healing power of God at work there. Healing relationships and bringing forgiveness and harmony and connection. The way being made clear to live your vocation, the work that you're called to do in a way that blesses others. Experiencing that greater prosperity in your home and your family. And the time to relax and enjoy the good that you have. The freedom to live a life you love. We trust in God in all things, working together in divine order for the greatest good of our souls that have come to express the glory of God. And so we say thank you in advance. Thank you. Thank you, God. Amen. So grateful for all of you and your loving attention this morning. Go forth and have an amazing 2022. God bless you.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.